Alright, so I finally got into that new scene.
About time.
And these markers was the right move.
Look at that blend. Look at how smooth they laying down. Now, when you working on backgrounds, you gotta let them do their job without stealing the show. The light's coming from the right, so I deepen the shadows on the teddy bear and the other objects to match. Little things like this pull the scene together. Shadows and lighting tell just as much of the story as colors do.
Alright, so when you're working on an outdoor scene, perspective is everything.
That's all it
The
is.
background should sit back while the foreground feels more defined, like the grass.
Check this
I'm
out.
layering different greens instead of just one solid color. Keeping some areas darker makes the lighter spots pop, which adds texture and movement. Same thing with the trees. You don't want to outline every detail. Just build up the layers, keeping the parts that catch light a little brighter and letting the deeper areas sink in. The shading does the work and the eyes fill in the rest.
She did that.
And now, as far as the sky, that's simple, but it just needs a little blending, right? A little soft fade from the deeper blue at the top to a lighter one near the horizon makes it feels more natural.
It's not as hard as it looks.
Now the window, instead of just adding a couple streaks, I'm adding some edges with a white charcoal pencil. That gives it
A soft, scratchy, uneven effect that mimics the way light catches on a dusty or aged glass.
It's not about making it perfectly clear. It's about showing that there's a surface between the outside and the inside.
Now it's time to color the characters. So I just finished up this drawing using markers I never used before, and I want to show you my process. So I'm experimenting with Ohuhu markers, but here are some challenges I had along the way, and I'll show you how I corrected the issues. First, let's talk about the good. One of the things I loved about working with these markers is the boldness of color. For example, the background elements, the window, fence, and the grass came out great. I was able to lay down colors quickly. Plus, the markers blend very nicely when I use them on large areas. And then here's where it gets a little tricky. In the beginning, as I was shading the character's face, I was really struggling to transition between light and dark tones, especially with the darker shadows on the skin. I found out I was either going too dark too quickly or the colors wasn't blending like I hoped. I actually had an easier time blending the background than I did with the skin tones. The background had richer tones that naturally blended together, but when I tried the same technique on the character's skin, the markers dried too fast. And that would cause it to leave harsh lines instead of soft fades. Ohuhu's ink also doesn't stay wet as long as some of the other brands, making blending harder. So if you're using these markers for skin tones, you might need to work faster using more gradual layering or just lean in the cell shaded style instead of forcing a smooth gradient. I had to adjust my process, and even then some things work better than others, but that's the point of experimenting. Markers don't all behave the same way.